What's up, people? Just want to make a quick little video talking about a few of the things that happened this weekend. For example, coronavirus is the new thing that people are talking about, and it's been crazy. Just people are out of their minds. Been putting off going grocery shopping because I don't want to even deal with it. Luckily, I have enough TP to last me um, for a while, and then I'll have to find something out. I have no idea. Um, but overall, I think people are freaking out a little bit too much about this. Like, yeah, it's a big deal. Yeah, wash your hands. Yeah, don't interact with more people than you have to. Like, I ended up not going to a party I wanted to go to because of it. Um, but don't go crazy. Don't stress out. Like, people are they don't know what to do, so they're buying toilet paper because they don't know what to do. And to be honest, the whole country seems to not know what to do. You know, I think it's incredibly funny that Republicans will entertain the idea of giving people $1,200 a month rather than just mandating paid time off. Like, but I guess you don't want to set the precedent that people deserve paid time off. Um, when instead you could just set the precedent of giving them a really big welfare check every month. That's easier for liberals to swallow, which is kind of funny. In other news, there was the earthquake that happened earlier this week, and that's kind of crazy that we even had an earthquake. It was the first earthquake I've ever felt, and everything started shaking. I was like, what the hell? And then I stood there and I watched everything shake. Felt kind of surreal. I didn't know where I was for a second, and then it was over with, and I looked around and I was like, oh, we just had an earthquake, didn't we? And so that was cool. Cool. Yeah, probably not the best word for it, but it was interesting to be in one for the first time in my life. And at least now I'll know what to expect when the big one comes and we get destroyed and have to live in a post-apocalyptic future. Besides from coronavirus and earthquakes happening, the only other thing is Biden winning. Oh my god, don't get me started on Biden. Like, and now he's like disappeared, apparently. Um, but I just don't really buy the idea that Biden's electable. They say that, but Biden is so low energy, and he has so much baggage. He's like, I don't know. Like, I felt like if you're just gonna put up Hillary Clinton too, like I feel like Hillary Clinton was a better candidate than Joe Biden as far as electability is concerned. And we know that Hillary Clinton lost. Um, Trump's really popular. Like, not like most Republicans are gonna fall in line. The whole party's not anti-Trump, so you have the Republican Party going to bat for Trump, and then that it's going to be the Republicans that win because the Democrats can't get enough people out to vote. And the data shows that when the Democrats can get people to vote, then they win over the Republicans. But they just can't get people to vote. And that's for quite a bit of reasons. They put out these really bad candidates that nobody really wants, like, at all. And so they screw over Bernie, which is a sad fate, but not really something I didn't expect them to do. And now it looks like Biden's probably going to be the nominee for the Democrats, barring any serious health concerns or something crazy happening. But that's the problem with putting our eggs in the Democratic Party's basket, is that they're not going to take care of our eggs. They're not going to take care of us. They don't necessarily care, to be completely honest. And I feel like these social democrats or these liberals who think that change can be found in the Democratic Party, or that the Democratic Party can be changed to allow for these reforms, I think we're going to have to think differently about that. Um, you know, yeah, there's only two parties, and so if you want to make a difference, you sort of have to. But at the same regard, if you live anywhere that's a safe state, then your opinion doesn't matter. I live in a blue county in the most red state in the union, and so there's really nothing I can do. Um, Especially if you go back to the 2016 election, Hillary won the popular vote. So, you know, you know, I wasn't going to turn the state red. If I convinced everybody I knew to vote blue, it wasn't going to turn the state red, or it wasn't going to turn the state blue. So, and a lot of people live in these states where no matter what they vote, no matter how many people they get to vote for their candidate, it doesn't matter in the general. So I don't blame a lot of people who decide not to vote, because the way the voting's set up, their vote literally doesn't matter. And then them's the breaks. Like, it's a sad fate, but it is the way it is. So yeah, Biden will probably be the candidate. If it's against Trump and Biden, I honestly think Trump's gonna win another 4 years. Like, unless the anybody but Trump group comes out and votes, then maybe will there'll be enough anybody but Trump people to kick him out of office. But I just don't necessarily feel that's going to be the case. I feel like Joe Biden's going to be too low energy. He's already said things that alienate tons of people. Young voters, he said, I have no sympathy for younger people. You can just show people that, and they're not going to vote for Joe Biden. And then just a ton of just shit. Like, he's threatening to fight construction workers over gun laws. Like, you can't threaten to fight people who talk to you. Like, come on, Joe. And then the fact that, his mental capabilities are in question. And, it's not just his age, it's the way he talks. Like, all the other candidates can make coherent sentences, even if I don't like what any of them say. They're at least there. And people like to say, "Oh, Trump has dementia," but Trump can hide it in a way that Biden cannot hide his mental decline. It's there, and every time he speaks, it shows up stronger and stronger. That's probably why he's hiding out. That's probably why, since he won the last three states, he just hasn't been doing much. Especially during the pandemic, he has had a lackluster response, IMO. So the question is, what do we do as people who realize the need for serious change in this country? And it's not going to be easy going forward from here. A lot of people put their hopes and their dreams and their backup plans or Bernie. A lot of young people who can't afford college or aren't willing to go into $10,000 worth of debt just to get a piece of paper. That's me. Those people, want to go to school. It's not like people just don't want to go to school. It's the fact that school is just not really in the cards when you're paying for rent and car and payment and car insurance and health insurance, and maybe you have a kid. Like those things, like going to school is just sort of in a different reality for a lot of people. And so they wanted Bernie, people with, hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of medical debt. I've gotten medical debt. I've known people got medical debt. And, I'm poor, so we just didn't pay it. It's a, probably got ran off by some company at some point, but I don't know how people give hundreds of dollars to the health insurance companies every month. Like, for example, I'm always been super poor, so I don't get a penalty for not having health insurance. Every time I do my taxes, it just says, you're too broke for this. And so at the same point, my job offers health insurance, but for just me, it'd be nearly $200 a month. And so I just think I would much rather have an extra $200 a month. I feel like $200 a month would go much further towards keeping me healthy than a premium ever would. Because on top of premiums, which are ridiculous, there's also deductibles and co-payments, and so at that point, I just still want to go to the hospital. I just like I don't get a lot of I don't have a lot of health problems, and if I get sick, I just wait it out. So that's sort of the place we're at here. Um, I guess another thing I wanted to talk about was just how it feels like things are like we're living in the end times, is what people have been saying, especially in Salt Lake, since we had the earthquake. It just kind of feels that way. But there's mass hysteria, is one way to put it. There's a lot, like, so surprised by how up in arms people are about this, because like I wish people were this freaking out this much about climate change. That would be awesome, but in fact they're not. They don't. How is it that an invisible disease is more important than the climate change that, in our valley we see it all the time, because Salt Lake is a valley in between two mountains, and so we get inversion where all the dirty air stays in the valley because there's a layer of warm air that's on top of it. And so our valley gets super polluted during the winter. It gets incredibly polluted. And it doesn't help. We have oil refineries, we have mining operations, we have a ton of in valley pollution that builds on that. And so, climate change is very seeable. It's like kids can't go out to recess because the air quality is too bad some days. And that's just an everyday reality of people living in this city and many cities, I'm sure, across the whole world, across the country. And so when I think about the seriousness of climate change, it really strikes me as interesting that we're getting this response from a disease, from coronavirus, and it just seems like coronavirus seems, not, it's not a small deal, it's a big deal, but it seems like we should have been doing this sort of mass mobilization, this sort of mass freak out about climate change long before we had this freak out about coronavirus. And I don't know if it's just different because germaphobes are a thing, and old people don't want to die. But climate change is going to kill more people than coronavirus has or will ever. And so when it comes to the coming societal collapse due to climate change, this is People need to be freaking out about that in much the same way they're freaking out about coronavirus. You know, because it's shown that even with the freak out about coronavirus, nothing's happening. So, if we're going to get anything to happen about anything, there needs to be bigger freakouts. There needs to be more going on. And it feels like we're sort of in that time where things might happen, but at the same time, when you're one person in the thick of it, it's sort of hard to see how things are going to play out or what you can do. You know, a lot of history is being in the right place at the right time, and you don't really know how to make history before it happens. I'm just, and so I think we're in a very important time. Is sort of the point I'm trying to get at, is that the last 20 years and the next 20 years are really fundamental for how the future progresses. And so I hope people start to wake up in a way and sort of start to realize that what we're doing isn't really a sustainable way to live our lives, and that we're gonna have to find different ways to live our lives. But yeah, that's everything I wanted to say. Hope you like this video, and bye.